I can cut this beginning part out, but I think we're good. Hello, everybody. This is a Lamley interview. I think that's what we'll call it. I'm with Felix from Tarmac Works. How are you, Felix?
Hello. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I want to keep this very chatty. You sent some incredible stuff over, and I want to definitely talk about that. I'm looking at it all. I've got it all laid out. How long has Tarmac been around now?
We registered the company in 2014. Our products didn't come out till, I think, 2015. And then it was 18 scale first, and then it was 64. We did some 43 scale, sort of piggybacking other brands, if you will. They were very kind enough, like Mini Champs,
Sure.
IXO. They were very kind enough to let us just to do some special editions for us.
If I say, so you're now what, like 2014, you're 8 years in, what's the biggest
7, 8
lesson?
years.
What's the biggest thing you've learned that maybe you didn't see coming? I know, I'm sure. And there's some that are just general business lessons, right? That when you're starting a business, all the hurdles you have to get through. But like, give me something that like
the positive side
head.
of it would be the lesson is just go with your gut, even though it can be wrong oftentimes. But the cars or the different projects that we just go with your gut, meaning that whatever you feel that feel passionate and really strongly about, even though it might not exist in the market, just go and try it. You know, as long as it's not a huge investment, still kind of go for it, because oftentimes you might hit something there, or even if it fails, you might learn you might learn something through the process, which we have done. So we've done a lot of projects that are sort of in the left field, but some worked and some didn't, but still keep that kind of mentality of keep trying, because you can very easily fall into that sort of way where you've done something great, and then you try to keep sort of just keep doing the same thing because you know it worked.
It works.
But oftentimes that it would work for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then it just dies off, right? We've seen a lot of those in our industry as well. And so that I think would be a big lesson, that we just have to keep trying, and then every little detail matters. I think that for us, down to the production, down to the packaging, especially for us, I think the collectors are looking for us to have those kind of new ideas. It might not be exciting every single time, but I think they're looking for us to, let's see what they got this time. You know, that challenges myself and the team to just keep pushing and just thinking, you know, coming up with silly ideas or crazy ideas here and there, and just to give that little bit of excitement every time to the collectors and to us as well.
Right.
You know, so
I think that's an interesting thing. I think, you know, I was going to make the observation just from, you know, my travels working with you and a bunch of other folks, you know, in the diecast world. And when you've got someone who thinks like a collector, I sometimes think it doesn't necessarily mean like, you know, collecting Beanie Babies is going to transfer. But when you have someone who thinks like a collector, it just seems to me that is the sweet spot. Yeah. But I think a lot of times it's when you say it's like what wows a collector, and whether that's a particular model they didn't expect, or a particular way you made the model that they didn't expect, or maybe a collaboration. I want to talk about collaborations in a bit.
Sure.
You know, I had no idea they would partner up. What a cool combination. That's a thing these days. It just seems to me that when you can hit that, you can make a collector just kind of like literally their jaw drop when they scroll to that picture, or when they, you know, get that piece of news or something like that, or, you know, a sneak peek or something, just like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. That buzz, whether people like it or not, is a huge part of that.
No, I think for us, you hit it on the spot, is we always go with that mentality first above everything else. I think I would dare to say that, you know, we are not an expert in any kind of way, but I think we do put that as the priority out of a lot of the other brands. I think that's our difference. To a point where it's at a fault, even like it would sometimes when we go into a project, we don't even look at the numbers, like sort of the business side of it. We look at just the fun side would this excite collectors, and we'll do the math later. And it's definitely not a way to run a business, I would say. It's just in my mind, those numbers would come later, and oftentimes we just really don't look at them, and so we always go with that collector mindset, and it changes everything that you do, down to the point where packaging, or as simple as a base plate, as simple as very
Right.
sort of small details, and those are the things that is our brand identity. I would say it's like what makes us Tarmac Works, and very different than any other brand. We're not saying we're better, we're just saying we're different, and there's some collectors that would like that, and so I do see that I think from a collector's point of view, especially like someone like yourself, I think you can see very clearly which are the brands that actually come from that sort of collector
Right.
mindset, rather than, oh, here's a business, we and that's why we never kind of launch a car with, oh, here are 6 colors, you just choose, because that is from a production point of view. It's
Sure.
very efficient and all that, but from a collector's point of view, I can't buy all 6 at the same time. So why are
Right.
you giving me 6 colors? This kind of thing. But from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to be not efficient. And so sometimes you kind of have to kind of balance that out, and that's one of the really tough things about our business.
So give me, as from a collector and from a business owner from Tarmac, where's diecast now? Where are we going? What, like, you're seeing things from your perspective. There's obviously multiple markets. We are definitely a global market these days with diecast. Obviously there can be little trends country to country or region to region, but give me some trends. Give me some things. I'll give you some of my thoughts too,
Sure.
but give me some things that you're seeing, and not necessarily just for Tarmac themselves, but kind of where this hobby has gone the last few years.
I think now, as a collector, it's a collector's market. You get so many choices
sure.
out there, right? It wasn't like that when I was in the midst of my collecting. In the old days, you have it shows our age, but you got no information. You got you're just browsing through Kmart's or Target's or Toys R Us, right, in the U.S., and just searching for different cars. But there's so little choices out there. But right now you have just tons of choices, tons of ways that you can get your hands on cars, through the stores, through online, through international, overseas shops. There's just so many choices at this. But at the same time, I think it makes it so much harder to choose
Sure.
what you get, and you got die cast cars, you got resin, even in 64 scale, which used to be an insane idea, but is sort of like the norm now as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the tastes of the collectors, it also changed just even within when we first started. We started with a lot of racing models, and that was sort of our forte. And people love that because you don't see a lot of really detailed liveries in 64 scale. But right now we're seeing it's already shifting to road cars, street models. I don't know how that kind of started, but I think it's because racing models, there's just a sort of small set of cars that belong in that world, where in road cars there's just so much more, and there's so many more classic cars that we see on the roads every day. From a production standpoint, road cars are easier and cheaper to make, and so we can everyone can make the numbers kind of work better. And I think Glenn has created a really good trend, a big trend of that sort of mid segment where great quality at a really good price, more road cars, but they are doing racing cars as well. So I think he, like I said to Glenn, always like he hit a really sweet spot there, and it's been sort of setting the path for the diecast, for the collectors. And I think the trend is also moving towards a bit more of that premium, not super premium models, right? You used to be like 99 cents Hot Wheels. People are still grabbing those, of course, Matchbox, but you're moving, even Hot Wheels, right? Moving into the sort of more have decorations, more detail, packaging wise.
Right.
I think that's again is a collector's market. So every brand is kind of looking for ways to find the right car, find the right sweet spot and quality.
It's interesting. I see all of that too. Do you think, like, when you say you've gone from racing to road, and I want to talk about, some of your sub brands and sub lines.
Sure.
But does some of that come from, like, you're seeing that obviously from a collector perspective, but also from, your perspective at Tarmac. Is that as Tarmac kind of has been becoming more global, as you've been building more fans from, say, the U.S. and Europe, and you've had a big following? I've always noticed that, and again, I might be generalizing a bit, but there's a lot of racing cars and those replicas. It seems like those kind of display, quote unquote, models versus the playable. I don't know if that's the right term, but it seems like the more maybe you've gone to some of those routes as opposed to display, that those, and gone more global, that seems to be the interest, is the road car like that.
Yeah, I think from us, we also, I'm not a numbers guy, but we do have to look at the numbers from time to time, where
Sure.
The market is driving what we do as well. We love all the cars, so
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
mean is we only love race cars, but we started with race cars, which I think was the right way. But we're trying to just keep a really good balance of racing models versus road models, and also just a very diverse variety of models, from like an American Dodge van to a very JDM, high A's van, to an F1 car, to a supercar like a Pagani, to a very not ordinary, but like a very sort of like a sedan, like a Toyota Chaser sedan.
Sure.
So we're trying to just play with different things where we don't want the type of car to define where Tarmac is, and so we're just trying to look at from a car guide, like what kind of cars do you want, and you want a variety of cars, and that's what we've been just trying to do, but we are looking at that the trend that the road cars are more popular, so we'll do kind of sort of adjust and pivot towards that a little bit more. But we're still, as you can see, we're still quite heavy on race cars as well, with the Ferraris and all the GT3 cars and rally cars as well.
Talk about the Ferrari. That when you guys showed that Ferrari, questions came to me at least. How did they do that? Talk a little bit about that process, because the legend and the the notorious Ferrari license always leaves collectors, whether they can get Ferraris through the brands they collect, or with like Hot Wheels, for example, they can't. Tell me how you did that. I'm sure that question would come up. It
came from an idea probably 3 years ago, because we work with PCT. PCT is the factory that makes IXO models. Is their brand. They used to make a couple more brands. They have worked with Ferrari and are close with Burago. And so we suggested, because I when I looked at the segment and when I looked at the opportunity where Ferrari kind of Burago, I guess, sub-licensed the deal to Tomica, and we're seeing the F40s and all the Ferrari road cars, and at a premium level, which is not sort of Burago's kind of thing. Sure. And so I sort of proposed the idea of, what if we take that sort of premium segment? I know the road cars belong to Tomica, but what if we do the race cars, and that wouldn't sort of conflict with anything that they're currently doing? And I don't think it's highly unlikely that Tomica will make a GT3 car, for example, which they've never done it. And so we just made that proposal, and it took a long time, just the back and forth of everything, and so our partner kind of got us the deal to move forward. And that was how so we proposed I think 3 different models in the beginning, and we also wanted to show them how dedicated we were to these models, because you got Ferrari, you're going all in basically. And so we said even like a 488, a GTE to a GT3 model in the old days, I would dare to say we would just, or anyone would just pretend the GTE is the GT3 or vice versa. Nowadays, the collectors, because they're seeing so much, they they're not going to let you get by that. We have done that before, and people have pointed that out as well. And so now we're taking it very seriously. Even the GTE and GT3, they do share some of the parts, but
Sure.
the body is different, even down to the splitter or fender or the rear wing. So that's how it came about. It just took a long time to go back and forth. So it's when we actually were able to announce it, there were literally like almost tears in my eyes, because it's just an unbelievable how long that journey was, and the persistence how persistent we had to be to sort of push that through. And I still couldn't believe it at that point until I think, and same for the collectors, I think, is where we showed the video where we had the license sticker, and then everybody go, oh, you actually got it. And it's like same for us. And that video, a lot of people saw it. The views were like kind of through the roof. And so it's just been an incredible journey to be able to be even associated with Ferrari in any sense.
Those are in Hobby 64?
Hobby, yeah. For the race cars, definitely Hobby, like GT3 cars, they're all going to be Hobby 64s.
Let's talk about those. You got Hobby 64. You said like racing falls into that. How do you differentiate what you do with Hobby and what you do with Global?
It took us a long time, and I don't think there's still gray areas, obviously. Modified cars like RWBs would go into that Hobby because we had to make it like very low, the ride height, just to have that sort of stance. And so we kind of gave up the rolling part for that particular reason. So the most of the modified, like the RWB, old and new, Gunter Works, especially all those modified Porsches will belong to that group. If they're heavily decorated, then we'll put that in the Hobby grade. And if it's a car where predominantly is a road car, then we'll put that into Global. And we're leaning toward more, obviously, with Global now. Just like I said, because of how the market is. So most of the time we'll think, can we put this in Global first? But if there's a car like the new sort of Super GT or any GT3 cars, those would kind of automatically, of course, go into
Hobby.
Yeah, that's how we kind of distinguish it.
All right, let's talk about some of these, because I really want to get into Global. The Dodge van. Talk about this.
This was
because you were really excited about this one. I think this speaks to what you get excited about.
This was actually the team's idea. A couple of the younger guys, believe it or not, they were watching a lot of these YouTube videos. That they called it the Dajiban race, whatever. And I actually had to look up what Dajiban means. I thought it was a Japanese word. It still is, but it's sort of their pronunciation of Dodge van. So it's kind of sound similar. And you see these huge chunky vans like kind of racing down these and drifting and they just look ridiculous, completely ridiculous. And I was looking at them, I was like, this is quite cool, but are we sure that we want to do this? And they were kind of pushing it. They were like, if we're going to make a van, why don't we make something very different that nobody kind of expects? And with all those videos, it just looks cool, it looks funny, and we wanted a car that would speak to the U.S. market, which is now our kind of biggest market now. It's very Tarmac, like it's very us, and that's that's sometimes what we try to do is to do things that are very us. It's just in our blood kind of thing, like. So a little weird. It's just a bunch of guys, modifying these huge vans. And I always say, we're playing very seriously, in a serious way. Like when we're playing, but we're so into it that So it felt like we just have to do this one.
So it almost feels like you're going to the complete opposite side of the spectrum. So last year I did the Lamley Awards, and your Pagani, one of the Zondas, just blew right through. We did this awesome tournament, which had so much fun. We're going to do it again.
I think we're in the final four. What is it? Yeah.
Yes.
Final four.
Oh, absolutely.
We're made in the
I think it was either the
The
Revolution
or the R?
Or the Revolution.
Yeah.
I can't remember which, but I mean, you've got,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you take a picture of this thing and it's so beautifully done. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this tournament again this year. It was so fun to see the brands kind of go up against each other.
It was fun, yeah. It's really
fun. And so I get the sense, I can already tell you this one's going into the tournament, that you've got another Pagani entry. And as soon as I saw the Huayra R,
yes.
You know, as playful as the Dajiban is, this seems so serious. This menacing,
is the extreme
angry
version, yes. Exactly.
It's almost got like a Speedtail type. I didn't even, you know, I had to look up the car. You know, I know the Huayra, but I didn't know about this R. And it's long tail and it's, you know, racing wing. And I just was like, this thing, I love looking at it. I love, you know, kind of, of course, rolling it around. And again, I've got it down below here, my camera rolling it around. I'm just, along with like the Zonda R, I'm just in love with, this is what gets you that kind of giddiness from a racing standpoint.
Yes, and you have to watch the YouTube videos. The sound of this car is just insane. Yeah, racing. They were testing the car in Monza, and it's just.
Well, I'm excited about this. I mean, about the Huayra. I just have a sense that it's just something that, you know, there are certain cars that catch you by surprise. I may not be a big Pagani Huayra guy, but the minute I see this casting, I was sold. I'm in.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's so extreme. This car is.
It is. It just has every line in it that, I don't know. Yeah. There's just something about it that it's a great successor to the Zonda R that, you know, in real life and with what you guys have done, you've got quite the family of Paganis. I'm digging it.
There's another story for another time probably, but it's just stumbled onto Pagani and we've built now a really good relationship, and it didn't start out that way, I would just say.
Really?
No, not at all. And the Huayra R is actually our second contract already with them. The first one will expire sometime this year, but we're extending it and then adding a couple models and hopefully another one next year. And our cars are now being sold at their factory, at their museum in Italy, which is
fantastic.
Insane to me. It's just, like I said, how we started was incredibly bad, and it was our fault really. But now, so we kind of sort of fixed that, and it's becoming a good sort of partnership, which is great.
That's a story we definitely want to hear.
We
someday.
have to, part two.
We'll save it. We'll save it. I want to hear all that. And we're having you back multiple times. Just deal with it. Okay, Global 64. You say racing goes into hobby, yet Global 64.
Yeah, that's another story there.
I'm a little backwards here.
I'm going to answer a lot of the people's questions on this particular model. We stumbled across this model. It wasn't our original model, if you will. The casting was made by our partners over at IXO. They have done
the co-branding here.
Yeah, they have done a project with I think Gulf Racing, if I'm not mistaken. We were not part of that project. I just saw it like everybody else. I just saw that car and I was like, is that 1/64 scale? They said yes, and I said, well, is the casting exclusive, or can we also do something with it? And they said it's not exclusive. We can do something with it. And I said, well, let's do it. And so and we decided it is a global because of the price point. It's really just that simple for this particular car. And so the tooling was already developed, kind of already paid for. So we saved some money there, and so we will have different F1 cars. This is the only one that is not originated from us, from the Tarmac side. So all the engineering, all this development stuff was done by them. But we thought it was. So we had them send us the samples, which they did, and then we looked at it and we said, well, it's good enough to be at least a global car, and so we said, well, let's just put it there if the pricing is correct, because we just didn't want to also jack up the price for no particular reason, just to be in the hobby grade, right, for the cut, because it doesn't make sense. And so that's how that story came about. So it is the same casting as the one that you're probably seeing in China and a lot of the other places, but we have made different liveries out of it. Even if with the same
Yeah.
livery, we've done something different to it, and collectors should notice. And so we're doing the different versions that they have not done, because the first version was only golf, but and then the other two versions are not. So
It's super detailed. It's really, really cool.
yeah, it's quite decent, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's quite good.
And again, like, you know, that I go back. I guess maybe this is the theme. It's that collector point of view that you have.
Exactly. That was
Like, I like that you're drawing from it. You know,
Yeah.
you're drawing from these different places and finding, like, we want to do this. We think it'd be fun. We think it would be cool. Let's
Yeah.
just do it. And you know,
we
you can
didn't
break
think
some
too
rules.
much of, you know, whether or not collectors will think, oh, why is this a, you know, global hobby? You know, we just thought collectors would like to get their hands on these type of cars, and we just wanted
Yes.
to make it happen. It was
Put
just
'em out
really
there.
that simple. Yeah, just put it out there.
Yeah.
And I think
I
F1,
love it.
thanks to Netflix, has been huge everywhere.
Sure.
I think in the US now it's just exponentially growing as well. So
It's
we
blowing
felt
up here.
it's perfect timing to do a lot of F1s. So we're doing the McLarens, we're doing the AMGs. I have something to show you today as well. So I think F1 is something that we got a couple of 3 or 4 guys here that are just F1 fanatics. They will stay up. You know, sometimes the time zones doesn't work, and they will stay up till
Yeah.
4 a.m. or wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the race. I couldn't do it, but they still do that. But so yeah, F1 is coming for us.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You say you have sneak peeks. We need to get to those. Sometimes people
Yes.
watch these and they're like, quit the chit chat. We need to. I want to ask
Stop
you
the
just one
talking.
other. I know we're enough with this. Just show us some cool stuff.
Sure.
I have to. So I want to go. Like, let's talk collaborations. Let's talk very specific. I mean, obviously, we just saw the IXO casting that you've done.
Yeah.
We've got this model too, which I thought you sent over.
Yeah.
This is the Schuko
Yeah.
Porsche, and I'm
993
seeing.
GT2. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing, like, so this is their casting,
This is their casting.
and you're collaborating with them, and I'm seeing, obviously this cool racing that we see Advin, STB. It's really kind of a cool. Talk to a little bit like about these collaborations. We touched on them a little bit already, but this is a great example of that. You're just jumping on, working with them and
Yeah.
producing something that they wouldn't.
Exactly. So I felt like we always have to bring something to the table when we can on these collaborations.
Yeah.
It's not just sort of, like I said before, piggybacking on what they're doing and, oh, can you make 2 or 3 more versions for us? So we try to get in early on the development, kind of talk to them about what kind of cars would interest your market. And obviously they are more focused in the European market, and we are more focused
Sure.
in the Asian market. And so we said, well, it would make a lot of sense if we can co-produce one car that would appeal to not only the European market but to the Asian market as well. So even at the decision of making this car, we had a lot of discussions, and we had a list of cars that we kind of picked together. And Schuko was really kind enough to work with us on this, because I think they see the sort of mutual benefits of doing this together, because then they can do some versions for them, we can do some versions for us, and we can sell it both sides, and it just makes a lot of sense. And so we focus a little bit more on the racing side. So we told them, there are a few racing versions, iconic racing versions that we really wanted to do. There's still some, plain color ones that we want to do as well. And so that's kind of how that came about. And so you're seeing, oftentimes, even with Schuko models now, with these Schuko models, we are the first ones that are actually introducing them even before they have sold it. And then Schuko has a very open mind about it, which we love, and it's been a really, really fantastic experience working with them. And I think when we were looking at the numbers, I think we've already produced over like 120,000 units with them over the past couple years, and it's been great. And I think
That's awesome.
on both sides. So, and then collectors can see sort of more models of this, more European models.
Right.
It helps us with our production and gives us less sort of pressure to make so many models at the same time. So it works really well.
And I think that's a brilliant idea, to be able to kind of go, share that and have people who collect Schuko in Europe getting all excited, while people who collect you in Asia get introduced to that brand as well. I think it's great. Before we get to the sneaks, one other collaboration with me.
With Lamley, yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a theme there that you might want to talk about. Why the white color?
Do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah, I'm interviewing you now.
It's scientific. It's very, very scientific. I like white cars.
Yeah.
A lot. And that's it.
It's not a very scientific answer, but
yeah, I went into the lab, did a lot of research.
Yeah.
And came back with the idea that I think white cars are pretty cool.
Hours and hours of research is just white. It's the best.
You want to know even some more truth to it. You and I started talking about doing something, and we were kind of going through some ideas, and you came and said, "Hey, what about the Black Series, the C63 Black Series?" And I was like, "That's awesome." And you said, "We've got a white one. How about that?" And I said, "That's awesome." That's
super scientific.
Yes. And I've loved it. There's something about white cars. I grew up in the 80s, and there was I remember we had a neighbor who had this house that literally, this is such an 80s thing. The house was all white. Inside, everything was white. Wow. And everything was white. Yeah. And in the garage, what do you think they had? They had white two white Mercedes.
Sure.
And white rims, everything. I just thought they were the coolest. And anytime I see that look, so it's so I've embraced it. And it's I want. So I loved what we did there, and then as we've gone, I've I like this white theme. I think if we're going to do a collaboration, there's got to be. It can't just be random stuff
like
that I think is cool.
The consistency of I think when you put them all together at some point where you start to have third, or fourth, fifth car, then it really looks like a genuine collection, which I think is great.
And that's the intention. And so I'll even say this: you can take full credit for this. You might see other Lamley collaborations come down the pipe from elsewhere, and guess what? They're going to be white. So I haven't announced some of them, but they're very exciting, and we've got some more coming. So my hope is that here in a year or two, people will have a very cool collection of white Lamley cars anchored by the Tarmac collabs.
I think we've confirmed how many, 3 or 4 now. We got the S14.
Yep.
We got the Viper.
So I don't have it in person yet. When I do get it, I'll show it. This is the casting, right? Yeah, this is the first release of the casting. We're going to see it come in white with Vertex.
I think it's being released next month, if I'm not mistaken. The white S14.
It's coming. We were talking August, September, and we've got a lean tin coming with that. Yeah. And then so that one's coming in white, and then I think the next one is the Dodge Viper, right? You sent this one over.
That's right.
And it might get some Lamley touches here in a little bit, but this casting is, and this is what I like too. It's I developed a reputation of being kind of a JDM hyper, and I sure love my JDM, but it is nice to have something, that kind of going for different. We've done European, now here's American. Yeah. Obviously the Sylvia is its own thing. And then lastly, going back to Europe, obviously to match the Black Series.
There you go. That's the 4th one.
And I don't think we've mentioned this one yet.
Not yet. This is the SLS, also Black Series. So we are also going to a theme of the Black Series as well. The C63, now the SLS. We're hoping that we can get the AMG GT Black Series as well as the third Black Series car.
I'll come calling.
No, you don't have to call. The white one is yours.
Okay, good. I love it. So I'm very excited, and it's just it makes me smile to see these cars. I myself, same thing. I come from a collector. It's really fun to do these collaborations. I hope people like them. It's been fun to work with you guys, and it's I just want to park these cars together and see them all.
All right.
So now we got to stop this love fest and get into the sneak peeks, right?
We got 2 of them. I know we're running out of time. We got 2 sneak peeks that we've not shown to anybody, so it is a Lamley exclusive. We were talking about
sweet.
F1
like
F1 cars, and we've done that McLaren, which wasn't our it wasn't developed by us per se, and so we have. Let me see if I can show this. We have the 2022 McLaren MCL 36. Just to show you this. So this is the car that is racing this year, and it's on the road right now. So Lando Norris and the Ricardo. They're not doing as well as they should or as last year, but it's still, fantastic looking car. They're trying to get it back to the midfield and hopefully they get a podium. But it's been fun watching them as well. And I really like Lando Norris. He's kind of my guy. So it's really great to develop this.
And are we going to see those obviously in those liveries?
Yeah, exactly. So
that's so cool.
They will be in the different liveries. The second one, we kind of announced the license deal that we've done with Dodge, and they belong to the same group, so the FCA, and this is with FCA Italy, which is Alfa Romeo. Something.
Oh no!
And this car I really love. You've seen them in. Well, it's kind of a coincidence where brands are picking these cars for a reason because they are great cars, and that's why they kind of have picked the same car, and it's no surprise. So this is the Giulia.
Oh,
Alfa Romeo Giulia. There's some parts missing here, but this is just the print, the 3D print version, if you will. We got the GTA and the GTA M as well. So the McLaren is going. I think it's most likely going to be in the hobby series, but this one will be in global. So this is the global.
Sweet.
So hopefully we can do it.
I'm looking. Obviously it is your print, but you can kind of get a sense of like stance. You can get a sense of. I mean, its sportiness. This is going to be a beauty.
I should.
It's such a cool car.
From this,
I got it.
Destroying the car with my head there.
I'm going to use this as the cover shot, so you better start smiling.
Oh no! No, this car, it was at a point in even when I was looking at some cars here, I was looking to buy a car, and this was obviously out of my price range, but I still went to test it because I just love this. I am a Alfa Romeo fans as well. Not a huge fanatic, but I love their cars. I think they just Italian cars just look fantastic. They're just like an art piece.
You can't afford it. Like, come on. I thought when you start a company like this, you're an instant billionaire. Starting these diecast companies.
But yeah, I wanted to make a lot of money so that I can do a model car company and not go into finance or law or medical or whatever, because this is where the money is,
Yeah, this is all you wanted. You were just like, I'm going to start a diecast because
making the dollars, making the bucks,
the quickest billionaire. Yeah,
exactly.
Twitter's for sale these days. You can go buy that now with your
Elon Musk.
I think it's on the market.
Beat me to it.
It doesn't sound like he wants it anymore, so you can.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This has been a pleasure, Felix, and this is we've done this before, but I want to make this a regular bit because obviously I'm collecting Tarmac. I know a lot of people are, and whether the audience is here in the U.S., Asia, Europe, wherever, there's so much cool stuff, and and we've chatted a little bit, just touching on just a little bit today, and we want to kind of walk this journey with you. Talk to us, when we do it again, like what's working, what's not. You're a candid dude, and I love that about you. And we'll talk about some of those things. We'll talk about the Pagani relationship.
The stories, it's
yeah, I love it.
I don't mind sharing them now because now we have a better relationship.
Because you're in good shape, right? Yeah. And exactly. I'll try and share some of those. We got
a lot of kind of juicy stories that it's juicy at the same time, but it's a huge learning process with us. Like Honda, for example, we had a big not fallout, but now we're back with Honda. So there are a few brands like that that's kind of have this kind of used to have a love-hate relationship, but that's how it works sometimes. And so, but we're glad to be working with them. Very glad.
Those stories are cool. I mean, we're all. It's still these big entities, but still it's all about humans and how we interact and everything else. That's right. I love that. And next interview too, maybe I'll pull out some of you've been around long enough that you've got some pieces that are now like classic collectible Tarmac. I would be fun to kind of go into that, go into the archives and have people, and like pieces that have generated some pretty crazy value on the secondary market too. And people might not realize that
would be cool.
There's a particular blue Civic that I have kind of hidden away that a lot of people go crazy for. That's kind of fun to talk about. Felix, it's been great.
Thank you so much.
We'll
for
do
having
this
me.
again, and
Yes, sir.
we'll keep rolling out these cool cars.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We'll see ya.
Thank you.